Imagine you become an adventurer, risking your life every day just to save your little sister, who has a rare disease. But, unfortunately, you fail. And to top it off, you have the worst class ever, so everyone thinks you're useless. Even your own teammates sell you out to an imposing boss just to save themselves. But still, you fight to your last breath because you promised your sister you'd never give up. Sadly, you end up meeting St. Peter. But for some reason, you get sent back to the past, and you're not about to waste such an opportunity. You're going to save your sister, get revenge, and become the most powerful being in the world. And without further ado, let's dive in. Our story begins with our protagonist, Wang. He tells us that 20 years ago, dungeons started appearing all over the world, marking the beginning of a new era. Despite becoming an S-class adventurer, he asks for forgiveness while looking at a photo of a girl. Without further delay, he steps into the portal, transporting him inside the dungeon. A panel shows he's 38 years old, level 50, and has the assassin class. Inside, his teammates are already waiting. After a while, they encounter a huge shadow wolf. The group leader, Feng, with a smirk, asks Wang to handle it. Wang agrees and quickly dodges the creature's massive blow but has to hide immediately, knowing the beast's strength was overwhelming. He needed to take advantage of a distraction to eliminate it. When he sees an opening, he pounces fiercely and lands one of his best attacks, but the creature doesn't even flinch. Enraged, it inflicts fatal wounds on Wang and slams him abruptly to the ground. Just as it's about to finish him off, Feng easily slays the monster with a single slash and arrogantly tells Wang, along with the others, that despite being S-class, he's weak and should retire. A girl with a giggle asks them to stop or he might cry. Wang admits he's weak but not because he didn't try. The reason, according to the latest research on class types, is that the assassin class is the weakest as it's not designed for combat. Despite the ridicule, he clung to this group just to see his sister smile again. Tito Wang tells us that to find a treatment for his sister's illness, he desperately worked as an adventurer but couldn't find it in time, and she passed away. He lost the will to live, deciding to battle in the dungeons until his last breath. After some time, they clear the dungeon. The healer girl heals everyone except our protagonist, despite his fatal wounds. Feng tells everyone they'll divide the loot based on contributions and tells Wang, who wasn't helpful, he gets nothing. Wang agrees, letting himself be trampled on because dungeons hold unimaginable surprises, and he hoped something good might come his way someday. Finally, they prepare to go home, but suddenly the ground shakes violently. An enormous boss appears, specifically a mechanized dragon named Vulcan. Tito Wang, just by seeing it, knows it's on another level, while the others arrogantly start attacking, but it results in a total fail, they don't even scratch it. Everyone knew the only way to survive was to run. As our protagonist begins to run, Feng kicks him towards the creature to use him as bait while they escape. We see the imposing dragon take a big bite of our protagonist, but don't worry, he's fine, it was just a clone. Tito Wang knew he couldn't win and had to escape by any means possible. Suddenly, he hears Vulcan say to cross the door and annihilate all humans. Wang knew that was impossible because monsters can't leave. Vulcan, laughing, tells him that for him, it's totally possible. Tito Wang knew that if Vulcan was serious, he'd annihilate thousands of people. Gathering his courage, he prepared to fight. After all, being an adventurer means protecting others. Even if he could save just one person, his pathetic life would have been worth it. Vulcan got furious, how dare this insect challenge him? He started launching simultaneous attacks. Tito Wang activated his shadow clone jutsu to hide his location and managed to land an attack from behind, but it didn't even tickle the beast. Vulcan slammed him against the wall with his tail. Wang struggled to stand and camouflaged himself among the clones, but it was useless. Vulcan activated his thermal vision and spotted the real Wang, launching a powerful laser beam. Tito Wang narrowly dodged it and noticed the core beneath Vulcan's jaw. He knew that if he could hit it, he might have a chance. He sent out more clones and, using his great speed, dodged the attacks, but the last one hit him full on. Like a true alpha male, he wasn't going to give up because he was so close. He struck his dagger into the core, causing a huge explosion that sent him flying. Tito Wang smiled, at least he looked cool in his final moments. But to his bad luck, Vulcan was unscathed. Vulcan remarked how impressive it was, as it was the first time someone had managed to hurt him. Sadly, the plan would be postponed, and he hoped they'd meet again before disappearing. Tito Wang knew he hadn't really won, but at least he bought some time for the others. Suddenly, a notification congratulated him for defeating the dragon Vulcan, and the rewards would be applied. Wang didn't understand a thing, but it didn't matter because he was finally going to reunite with his little sister, Natsu. He noticed a panel saying no missions were available. He wondered what that was about but finally succumbed to his injuries. He suddenly heard his alarm clock and angrily turned it off, realizing he was in his room. Shocked, he ran to the bathroom and saw he looked much younger. Tito Wang didn't understand what was happening but calmed down, realizing he had gone back to the past. He didn't know why, but he guessed it had something to do with the dragon. He also wondered about the strange panel. Then he noticed a message from his little sister, Natsu, asking for some chocolate. Our hero burst into tears because he'd see her again. He knew it wasn't the time for sentimentality because he had a second chance and wouldn't make the same mistakes. This time, he swore he would save her. After a while, we see our protagonist heading to the hospital. Entering Natsu's room, he gives her a warm hug and tells her how much he missed her. A few minutes later, they were watching the news, reporting that scientists would soon find a cure for the disease spreading in the population. Wang knew it would take many years and that he couldn't cover the medical expenses for that long, so he had to become an adventurer again to ensure his sister lacked nothing. On his way to the Adventurers Guild to register, the same strange system appeared, but this time it had missions like running 10 blocks, doing 20 pull-ups, and greeting 30 people. Tito Wang knew he had nothing to lose, so he decided to try it out to see what would happen. He greeted people, ran, and did the pull-ups, completing all the missions in an hour. The system notified him that he had leveled up to level 3. He was stunned because reaching that level would normally take him 3 months. If this was true, he could become stronger. A while later, we see Tito Wang at the Adventurers Guild. The receptionist, named Shinru, asked him to put on the bracelet to complete the registration. Wang complied, and it immediately showed his stats, confirming he was indeed level 3. The waifu mentions that he can choose his class with the bracelet and asks him to choose wisely. Wang knew that each class has its own set of skills, but this time he chose none and decided to be classless. Everyone who heard this burst into laughter. How in the world could he complete a dungeon without a class? Tito Wang paid them no mind because, in the future, that path would be the best. Alright, my dudes, let me explain. Everyone has a system for being adventurers, but it's a basic one that just shows their stats, the blue one. But our protagonist's additional system is purple, the typical upgrade one. Keep that in mind. Now, back to Tito Wang. We see he bought a heavy sword, and with everything ready, he ventured into his first dungeon. Of course, it was a beginner one. Once inside, he felt nostalgic being back in that place. Like the ex-pro he was, he easily took down the low-rank monsters as if they were nothing. After eliminating all of them, he started collecting the items they dropped to sell for money. Suddenly, the boss appeared, a skeleton warrior of rank E. Tito Wang was excited to see how strong it was and was impressed by its skill and speed, blocking his attacks without any trouble. Unfortunately for the boss, it was going to be defeated. The reason Wang chose to be classless was that his growth speed was 10 times faster, and he could learn the skills of others. Without further delay, he defeated the skeleton warrior and obtained a D-grade magic stone. A few hours later, Shinru, curious, asked how it went, and to her surprise, Tito Wang had a fantastic haul, bringing back a backpack full of items. She was stunned by this craziness because she thought he wouldn't be able to defeat any monsters without a class. Suddenly, a guy grabbed Wang's shoulder tightly, angrily shouting that he must be trying to trick her because it's impossible for a classless person to beat so many monsters. Tito Wang, unafraid, twisted the guy's arm and yelled at him to get lost. Terrified, the guy ran off. Shinru confirmed that the items were real and transferred the money to his account. Outside, he noticed a new mission to passionately sing for 5 minutes outside the station. 3 Doritos later, we see him doing it, though it was incredibly humiliating as everyone looked at him like he was weird. But it was all to get stronger. For completing the mission, he received an appraisal ring. Tito Wang knew this was fantastic because it could show the mastery of his weapon and the skills acquired with it. He had 2 skills and was super happy because things were going well. Curious, he wanted to test them to see how strong they were. He entered a new dungeon, and in a few minutes, he took down all the monsters and leveled up, gaining 4 upgrade points. Wang invested them in luck, as he had a good affinity with mastery and could learn more skills. After collecting all the magic stones, he returned to his world. Changing scenes, we see Shinru uncomfortable because the guy in front of her wanted information about talented adventurers. She couldn't do that and made it clear, but he wouldn't leave. Then she noticed our protagonist approaching and nervously told the guy that Wang was very good. The big guy believed her because Wang had a backpack full of magic stones, so he must be talented. Excited, he invited Wang to join his group. Tito Wang made it clear that he was a newbie. The guy said it didn't matter because talented people grow quickly. He mentioned he was from the Snake Blood clan, and his group planned to conquer the S-rank dungeon called Abyss. Tito Wang told us that Abyss was the first dungeon to appear in the world and, both now and in the future, it had never been completed. Rumor had it the boss was a supreme dragon. Not wanting to die yet, Wang declined the offer. To get rid of the guy, he mentioned he was classless. The big guy laughed and lost interest, leaving. Shinru apologized to Tito Wang for involving him. Being a nice guy, he said it was okay and that he had some things to sell. She was shocked and still couldn't believe he was classless. Suddenly, a beautiful girl approached our protagonist. Noticing her, he asked what she wanted. She apologized for eavesdropping but heard he cleared a dungeon without a class, which was unusual, and wondered if there was an advantage to being classless. Tito Wang, very serious, tells her it's a secret. She says she likes that he's smart, and introduces herself as Xiao, an S-class adventurer from the Carnelian Fury clan. She says the reason she approached him is that, like the other guy, they want to complete that dungeon, and they want him in their group. She doesn't care that he's classless, as long as he's strong. Wang liked her directness, so he accepted her proposal and told her he'd do whatever it takes to reach their goals. Xiao says that's great, but she still can't add an F-class to the clan, so she'll recommend him for a D-rank dungeon instead. Our protag knew that was awesome because if he completed it, he could rank up faster than the traditional way. Shinru mentions that she already transferred the money to his account and asks him to confirm it. He replies that everything is in order. The waifu, seeing he made a lot of money, asks him to buy her a dessert. Our protag, who isn't a simp, couldn't care less and ignores her. After a while, Tito Wang enters the D-rank dungeon called Frozen Shadow. Once there, he finds it hard to move because of all the snow, and a strong blizzard reduces his visibility. To top it off, he's joined by a huge snow monster. Tito Wang, fearless, quickly gets into combat position. Suddenly, the system notifies him of a mission to hold his breath for a minute. He knew that wouldn't be easy, especially while fighting, but like a true warrior, he evades attacks without a problem and takes advantage of openings to counterattack, barely doing any damage. Thanks to holding his breath, he levels up to 5, making him stronger. Like a pro, he dodges and finally takes down the creature completely. Defeating a monster of a higher rank than his own earned him the passive skill Ice Barrier, which protected him from the cold. Tito Wang knew this was perfect for this dungeon. A few minutes later, we see him trying to catch a scarlet rabbit, but it's incredibly fast, and he can't land a hit. The cheeky rabbit even laughs in his face. Wang knew it was impossible to beat it, so he focused on hunting other monsters. Hours later, his backpack was full. He took a little break, enjoying the beautiful scenery with a hot chocolate. While doing so, Wang knew he had to thank Xiao for this opportunity. He admitted she was a beauty and worth hitting on, but his only goal now was to find a cure for his little sister, so he couldn't get distracted. Suddenly, he hears a loud noise nearby. Changing the scene, we see a buff rabbit attacking some adventurers. The last one standing is a cute blonde girl named Liang. She closes her eyes, accepting her fate, but blessed by the heavens, the god of gods, Tito Wang, arrives to save her. Both safe, he realizes it was a rare monster and, like a gentleman, he pulls out his handkerchief, lays it on the ground, and rests the beautiful girl on it. She blushes, thinking he's like a prince. Meanwhile, her companions are ecstatic because reinforcements have arrived. Curious, they ask what class he is. Wang replies he has none. They are shocked and start praying, thinking it's the end. Our protag couldn't care less about their opinions and quickly gets into combat position. The furious creature charges at him abruptly. Tito Wang, being a pro, dodges easily but knows that one hit from that thing would be game over, so he gets serious. The buff bunny wasn't playing either and activates its icy fangs to annihilate him. It lunges at him ferociously. Wang, fearless, faces it head-on and, seeing a small opening, delivers his most badass attack, taking it down. Liang falls head over heels for him, and the guys are in shock because he really defeated that thing. Tito Wang, being a good guy, asks the waifu if she's okay. Nervous, she can't speak and just nods. Wang says that's great and, noticing she's a healer, asks her to go heal her companions. She obviously complies and starts healing everyone's wounds, but one guy gets mad because she's taking too long and yells at her, saying he'll kick her out of the group if she continues being useless. With teary eyes, she begs him not to. Our protag steps in and tells her to let him do it because her true potential shouldn't be wasted in that group and she should join him instead. Liang, who was a romance series fanatic, thought it was a marriage proposal and asked if he was proposing. Tito Wang said, "No way, my goal is to become the strongest adventurer. If you believe in me, please join my group." Liang, for some reason, felt he was different from others and believed his words. Without hesitation, she accepted his proposal. Tito Wang said that was fabulous and that he would contact her later because he had some things to take care of. After a while, Shinru received his magic stones and mentioned that for completing a D-rank dungeon, his adventurer rank would rise from F to E, making him the first to do so without a class. The benefits he'd get included being able to challenge D-rank dungeons without a recommendation and no longer being considered a novice. She transferred the money to his account. Tito Wang knew he had worked hard today and deserved a small break. He was going to bring some desserts to Natsu, but when he got to the hospital, he noticed she was asleep. He sat beside her for a while, knowing he had to protect her at all costs. That's why he asked the healer to join his group, as her power was essential for Natsu's treatment. A few hours later, we see Tito Wang calling Xiao. He informs her that he finished the task she gave him and thanks her wholeheartedly because, thanks to her, he has become a little stronger. Xiao says it's no problem and asks if he wants to hear about the other D-rank dungeons. Tito Wang says no and mentions that he needs a favor. He recently found a talented healer and wants her placed in a group with a hydromancer because their synergy will help her grow quickly. It's knowledge that no one else knows. Xiao knew if she asked, he wouldn't tell, so she mentions that his methods are a bit strange but that she'll do him the favor. However, he now owes her one. Our protag says that's fine and hangs up. Xiao acknowledges that he is very interesting and likes that about him. The next morning, Shinru congratulates our protag for rising to E rank. He indifferently thanks her. She scolds him, saying he should be happy for achieving such a feat since many give up before reaching it. But Tito Wang didn't care because, as we know, he was classless. Suddenly, he notices everyone getting very nervous. The reason was the appearance of some D-rank revenants. Wang knew they were adventurers who had committed crimes, which is why others feared them. Shinru didn't like them either and had to find them a leader, which was very difficult because no one liked cleaning dungeons with criminals. Tito Wang, overhearing, offers to take the job. She is surprised and asks if he's sure. Tito Wang, unflinching, says yes, knowing the pay was good. Shinru thanks our protag from the bottom of her heart for always helping her when things get tough. Like a true gentleman, he tells her to relax. A few minutes later, we see them about to enter the dungeon. The guards inform the protag that if the prisoners attack him, he shouldn't hesitate to press the button on their bracelets, which would deliver an electric shock. Tito Wang knew that if criminals had talent as adventurers, they were allowed to work. Before entering the portal, the curious prisoners ask for his name. Our protag introduces himself and makes it clear that he won't answer more of their questions. Without further ado, everyone enters the dungeon, which turns out to be volcanic. Suddenly, the prisoners stare intently at Tito Wang. He knew they were up to something and immediately presses the bracelet button, but nothing happens. It turns out their collars were fake, and someone had helped them. The leader of the prisoners tells Wang it's nothing personal, but unfortunately, he has to die. Suddenly, the system notifies the protag that he must defeat all enemies. Wang knew this wouldn't be easy, as they outnumbered and outranked him. Out of the lava emerges a massive fireworm that ferociously attacks the prisoners, but they easily take it down with one hit. Laughing, they tell Tito Wang that they are currently D rank but are close to C rank. Wang realizes they are fighter class, making him very happy because he has a chance as long as he doesn't make a mistake. One of them starts launching simultaneous attacks non-stop. Wang recognizes his speed and begins to dodge but realizes it's a distraction because the other two are searching for something, a backpack full of magic equipment. The prisoners laugh and shout that they are now unstoppable. Tito Wang wasn't scared at all. Why? Because these guys were of the fighter class, known for their great offensive and defensive power. But here's the kicker, they can't use magic equipment effectively, and they didn't know that. This made them slower, though they were still beating him up pretty bad. But Wang wasn't about to give up. He got back into fighting stance. The guys recognized his warrior spirit, so they went all out, activating their physical enhancement skills. Little did they know, being classless allowed Wang to learn other skills as long as he understood them 100%, and as an experienced adventurer, that was no problem for him. Suddenly, his stats doubled, and he took down one of the guys. The chubby one got furious after his buddy went down and charged to take Wang out. Wang waited until the last second, then jumped and stabbed him in the back, incapacitating him. The leader of the thugs was scared out of his mind, screaming how it was possible for a classless guy to be so strong, saying it wasn't part of the deal with Akira-san. Tito Wang figured Akira must have been the one helping them. Suddenly, the chubby guy used his last bit of strength to grab our protag's foot. The remaining thug took advantage and landed a powerful hit that sent Wang flying. Wang felt like he couldn't breathe, this was it. But he wasn't going to accept defeat because he was given this one-in-a-million chance to save his little sister. He activated Berserker mode and took down the thugs. The system notified him that he had successfully completed the mission and offered him a key as a reward, asking if he wanted to use it. Wang declined for the moment and, with his last bit of strength, dragged the thugs out of the portal, then collapsed from exhaustion. Cut to Akira, who was furious because his guys were defeated by a useless E-rank, classless adventurer. Turns out, Akira was an S-rank adventurer and the master of the Serpent Blood clan. With a smirk, he said he would destroy Wang for ruining his plans. The next morning, we see Tito Wang working out hard, frustrated with himself for almost dying due to overconfidence. He needed to get stronger, sensing he had made powerful enemies. After finishing his routine, he examined the key. The message asking if he wanted to use it popped up again. Feeling ready, he accepted. Suddenly, a portal appeared in his room and forcibly teleported him to a vast desert. Wang realized it was a dungeon and was worried since he didn't have his sword. He had to be careful. After walking for a while without encountering any monsters, he wondered why. Then, he felt something strange under his foot, dug through the sand, and found a magic stone. Wang realized it was a mining dungeon, which was extremely rare. He went nuts digging, thinking he might find what he needed. Hours later, still digging, he hadn't found it. Just as he was about to lose hope, he finally uncovered a moonstone, getting super excited because it could save Natsu. Her illness, the magic vortex, could only be cured with medicine made from moonstones, and he needed 10. So, he went back to digging like crazy. Despite his hands being covered in wounds, the system notified him that time was up. Wang didn't want to leave, but the portal forcibly ejected him. Frustrated, he yelled to be sent back, but nothing happened. Calming down, he told us he only found one stone, but he knew he'd have to do more dangerous missions to go back. He didn't care, he'd do it again and again if needed. Then, he remembered he had also brought back that strange stone. And those were the only two he brought back because the rest were just regular magic stones. Later, we see Tito Wang visiting Natsu, and with a warm smile, he tells her he brought a little gift, a moonstone shaped like a necklace. Natsu thinks it's ugly, but thanks him for the gesture, saying she doesn't need it. Our protagonist feels a bit deflated since he worked so hard to get it, but he tells her not to worry and takes it back. After a while, he enters a shop specializing in magic stones. The owner gives him bad vibes, but the chubby guy notices his reaction and assures him he's an expert. He mentions it's rare to see someone with a moonstone. Tito Wang is surprised because it's unusual for anyone to know about them these days and tells the owner he's not here for that. He wants to know what the other stone he got is. The chubby guy examines it carefully and tells Wang it's an extraordinary find because it can add magical effects to his weapons. He explains it's an amber magic stone from a chigi mosquito, an insect that absorbs the souls of monsters it consumes and makes them its subordinates. While he can't guarantee it has that ability, he assures Wang it's a very rare stone. Tito Wang is thrilled to hear this and curiously asks if the guy knows how to combine the stone with his weapon. The chubby guy says of course, and it'll only take a few minutes. Later, Wang sees that it worked because his sword looks more powerful, and he knows he has to test it. He heads to the training field, specifically the summoning room. The mage in charge, named Bomi, notices from the register that Wang is a classless E rank, so she's going to summon monsters of a similar level. She summons a bunch of fluffy little creatures that, while cute, are not harmless. But Tito Wang dispatches them easily. He suddenly notices his sword absorbing an aura from the monsters. The system notifies him that he's gained a defense point. Tito Wang realizes that his new ability allows him to gain enhancement points by defeating monsters, according to their specialty. Defensive monsters give him defense points, and so on. The mage is stunned, unable to believe he defeated the monsters so easily despite being classless. Wang noticed she had been looking down on him since he arrived, so he taunts her, asking if she can only summon weak monsters. She gets furious at his comment and was about to summon stronger creatures to make him beg for help when a couple walks in. The guy tells the mage that he also wants to practice. Bomi tells him he has to wait his turn because someone is already using the room. The guy flashes his credit card and requests a massive summoning, suggesting that Wang joins them. Since he's a VIP customer, Bomi is thrilled because a massive summoning costs a lot. Wang, understanding this, agrees to join, thinking it could be a tough workout. Without further ado, Bomi summons hundreds of goblins. The guy curiously asks Tito Wang about his class and rank. Wang replies he's a classless E rank. The couple bursts out laughing, calling him weak and saying he won't even defeat a single goblin. The guy brags, telling Wang to watch a professional. He's not bad, blocking well and taking down goblins efficiently. His girlfriend also manages to defeat one. But when they turn around to continue, they're shocked to see that Wang has already taken down all the goblins. The couple is in total disbelief. Tito Wang, smirking, thanks the guy for letting him join such an expensive summoning but says he has to go since it looks like the one needing more training is him. Before leaving, the curious mage asks how he's so strong without a class, saying it's impossible to have such power without one. Tito Wang replies it's a secret. She's annoyed he didn't tell her but acknowledges his strength, mentioning that next time she'll summon stronger monsters for him. Wang says that sounds great, feeling super happy because he earned 3 attack points by defeating 43 goblins. He realizes he won't always be able to absorb points from monsters, but the more he fights, the stronger he'll get for sure. After he finishes showering at the training field, a man asks if he's an adventurer. Tito Wang says yes. The man, nervously, tells him there's been a dungeon overflow, and all adventurers are heading to suppress it. Tito Wang is in shock, and the reason is that an overflow means monsters are spilling into their world. Suddenly, the system notifies him that he must eradicate the cause of the overflow. Wang doesn't understand, thinking this is like a natural disaster, but the system is hinting that this isn't an accident, something is causing it. Switching scenes, we see a horde of goblins relentlessly chasing a group of people. A girl trips, and a goblin is about to take advantage of her misfortune, but our protagonist shows up just in time and takes the goblin down. The grateful girl thanks the swordsman, but Tito Wang corrects her, saying he's classless. Scared, she runs away. Meanwhile, a hobgoblin is giving a brutal beating to a group of adventurers. Terrified, they run away, not wanting to die. But one man stands his ground, knowing it's his duty to protect people from monsters. Seeing this from afar, our protagonist approaches and tells the man he'll help. The man is shocked to hear Wang is classless and was about to ask him to leave, but then a car comes flying towards them, and they barely dodge it. Tito Wang realizes it was the hobgoblin who threw it, noting its great physical strength but lack of intelligence. Quickly, he devises a plan and tells the man, named Cheng, to distract the monster while he attacks. Cheng agrees, and Wang starts running. The hobgoblin, of course, follows him. Cheng uses the opportunity to slash the hobgoblin's back, but the monster doesn't even flinch and furiously turns to kill Cheng. Tito Wang swoops in and finishes it off with his heavy sword, gaining an attack point in the process. Curious, Wang asks Cheng if he can still fight. Cheng says absolutely, he can't let the young ones show him up. Just then, reinforcements arrive, high-ranking adventurers. Cheng tells our protagonist that now their duty is to protect the civilians while the reinforcements handle the monsters. Wang agrees but doesn't fully comply, running around looking for the cause of the overflow. He finally finds it, a high-rank dungeon behaving oddly. Tito Wang notices that Cheng followed him and asks why. Cheng explains that he followed because Wang was heading into danger and he wanted to help after being saved. Wang, cheekily, calls him a complete fool. Cheng agrees but insists on helping and ensuring they both survive because he wants to go home and enjoy a nice cold beer. Hearing this, Wang just smiles and explains that he's here to stop the cause of the overflow. Cheng is shocked to learn it's not a natural disaster, but something is indeed causing it. As they're about to destroy the portal, a powerful explosion occurs. Tito Wang is thrown several meters back. Both Cheng and Wang see something emerging from the portal. It's none other than a clone of Vulcan. Our protagonist knows this is no joke and quickly gets into a fighting stance.